It's a crisp autumn afternoon in Central Park, leaves crunching underfoot like whispered secrets. A wide-eyed little girl tugs at her dad's sleeve, pointing to a woman slumped on a bench, her stomach growling audibly over the distant hum of city traffic. "Daddy, she looks hungry. Can I share my food with her?" she asks innocently. The dad, a high-powered CEO, pauses, smiles, and nods. Little did they know, this act of kindness would spark a chain reaction, turning a broken woman's life around and unleashing a revenge so calculated it'll leave you pumping your fist. Hey there, revenge enthusiasts. If you've ever been stabbed in the back at work, left scraping by while the guilty thrive, or fantasized about flipping the script on those who underestimated you, smash that like button now, subscribe for your weekly dose of justice served cold, and hold on tight. This Reddit story will rile you up, pull at your heartstrings, and deliver that oh-so-satisfying payoff. Let's jump right in. Our protagonist, Sarah, was once a rising star in the cutthroat world of corporate finance. At 32, she had it all figured out: a corner office in a sleek Manhattan skyscraper, a wardrobe of power suits that clicked confidently down marble hallways, and a reputation for crunching numbers that turned failing divisions into gold mines. She worked for Apex Investments, a firm run by her boss, Victor, a slick, silver-haired shark with a smile like a razor blade and eyes that calculated your worth in dollars. Victor wasn't just her superior, he was her mentor, or so she thought. "You're like the daughter I never had," he'd say during late-night strategy sessions, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, coffee going cold in styrofoam cups. But betrayal lurked in the shadows. Sarah uncovered irregularities in the books, shady offshore accounts, embezzlement funneled through dummy corporations. Her heart raced as she pored over the spreadsheets in her dimly lit apartment, the glow of her laptop screen casting eerie shadows on the walls. "This can't be right," she muttered to herself, a knot twisting in her gut like a vice. Confronting Victor the next day, she laid it out. "We have to report this. It's fraud." His face hardened, that mentor mask cracking. "You think you're so smart, Sarah? This is how the game is played. Keep your mouth shut or you're out." She stood her ground, voice trembling but firm. "I won't be part of this." By noon, security escorted her out, her belongings in a cardboard box, the echo of slamming doors ringing in her ears like a death knell. The injustice snowballed from there. Victor didn't stop at firing her. He blackballed her across the industry. Whispers spread at networking events. Unreliable, stirred up trouble. Job interviews dried up, rejections piling like unpaid bills on her kitchen table. Her savings evaporated. Rent, groceries, the endless cycle of applications. Powerlessness gripped her like a cold hand around her throat. She felt small, discarded, her once sharp mind dulled by hunger pangs that gnawed relentlessly. "How did I end up here?" she'd think, staring at her reflection in a cracked mirror, dark circles under her eyes, cheeks hollowed from skipped meals. Friends drifted away, embarrassed by her fall. Alone, she wandered the parks, scavenging for scraps, the scent of hot dog vendors taunting her empty stomach. Enter the escalation. Victor thrived. Apex boomed under his leadership, stock prices soaring, his face plastered on business magazines with headlines like "Visionary Turnaround King." He'd throw lavish parties, toasting to success built on lies, while Sarah slept on benches, the chill of night seeping into her bones. One particularly brutal day, after being turned away from a soup kitchen line, too long, too crowded, she collapsed on a park bench, the wooden slats digging into her back, leaves swirling around like mocking confetti. Frustration boiled inside, fists clenched, nails biting into palms, a silent scream building. "She ruined me, and he's getting away with it." That's when fate intervened. Ethan, a 38-year-old single dad and CEO of Vanguard Tech, a rival firm disrupting the finance world with ethical AI investments, strolled through the park with his 6-year-old daughter, Mia. Ethan was no stranger to loss. His wife had died in a car accident 3 years ago, leaving him to balance board meetings with bedtime stories. Life was a whirlwind. Early mornings in glass-walled offices, the click of keyboards and ring of phones, evenings with Mia's laughter filling their cozy brownstone. That day, they picnicked. Mia's tiny hands clutching a sandwich, apple juice staining her shirt. Spotting Sarah, Mia's brow furrowed, her innocent eyes wide. She pulled at Ethan's coat. "Daddy, she looks hungry. Can I share my food with her?" she asks innocently. The dad, a high-powered CEO, pauses, smiles, and nods. Little did they know, this act of kindness would spark a chain reaction, turning a broken woman's life around and unleashing a revenge so calculated it'll leave you pumping your fist. Hey there, revenge enthusiasts. If you've ever been stabbed in the back at work, left scraping by while the guilty thrive, or fantasized about flipping the script on those who underestimated you, smash that like button now. Subscribe for your weekly dose of justice served cold, and hold on tight. This Reddit story will rile you up, pull at your heartstrings, and deliver that oh-so-satisfying payoff. Let's jump right in. Our protagonist, Sarah, was once a rising star in the cutthroat world of corporate finance. At 32, she had it all figured out. A corner office in a sleek Manhattan skyscraper, a wardrobe of power suits that clicked confidently down marble hallways, and a reputation for crunching numbers that turned failing divisions into gold mines. She worked for Apex Investments, a firm run by her boss, Victor, a slick, silver-haired shark with a smile like a razor blade.
The boardroom was silent, save for the faint hum of the air conditioner and the occasional rustle of papers. Ethan Caldwell, CEO of Caldwell Enterprises, leaned back in his leather chair, his sharp blue eyes scanning the faces of his executives. At 38, he was a man who commanded respect, his tailored suit and steely demeanor a testament to years of clawing his way to the top. The weight of a billion-dollar company rested on his shoulders, but today, his mind was elsewhere. His phone buzzed, a reminder from his assistant, "Pick up Lily from school at 3 p.m. He glanced at his watch. 2:45, he'd have to leave soon. "Daddy," a small voice broke through his thoughts as the boardroom door swung open. Lily, his 6-year-old daughter, bounded in, her backpack bouncing and her blonde pigtails swinging. The executives froze, their polished presentations forgotten. Ethan's stern expression softened, a rare warmth flickering in his eyes. "Lily, sweetheart, I told you to wait with Mrs. Carter," he said, rising from his chair. He crossed the room in 3 strides, kneeling to her level. Her green eyes, so like her mother's, sparkled with unbridled excitement. "But Daddy, I wanted to see you," she chirped, clutching a crumpled drawing of a rainbow and 2 stick figures labeled "Me and Dad." "I made this for you." The executives exchanged glances, some amused, others visibly uncomfortable. Ethan took the drawing, his heart tightening. "It's beautiful, kiddo, but we're in the middle of a meeting. Can you wait outside?" Lily's face fell, but she nodded. "Okay, Daddy." She turned to leave, then paused, pointing out the floor-to-ceiling window. "Daddy, she looks hungry. Can I share my food with her?" Ethan followed her gaze. Outside, near the entrance of the sleek corporate building, sat a woman on the sidewalk. Her clothes were tattered, her hair matted, and she hugged her knees as passers-by ignored her. A small cardboard sign lay beside her, too faded to read. Ethan's jaw tightened. He was used to seeing homelessness in the city, but something about the way Lily's voice trembled made him pause. "She's fine, Lily," he said, his tone clipped. "Mrs. Carter will get you a snack." "Go on." Lily hesitated, her small hand gripping his sleeve. "But Daddy, she looks really hungry." Ethan sighed, glancing at the executives waiting for him to resume. "We'll talk about it later, okay? Go with Mrs. Carter." Lily shuffled out, casting one last glance at the woman outside. Ethan returned to his chair, ignoring the curious stares of his team. "Let's continue," he said, his voice cold, but his mind lingered on Lily's words. He didn't have time for Thesa, not for the woman outside, not for anything beyond his company and his daughter. Yet, as the meeting dragged on, he couldn't shake the image of Lily's pleading eyes. Later that evening, Ethan and Lily sat at their penthouse's glass dining table, the city skyline glittering beyond the floor-to-ceiling windows. The housekeeper had prepared grilled chicken and roasted vegetables, but Lily was pushing her peas around her plate, her brow furrowed. Ethan, still in his dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up, noticed her silence. It was unusual. Lily was rarely quiet. "What's wrong, kiddo?" he asked, setting down his fork. Lily didn't look up. "The lady outside your office," She was still there when we left. Why didn't we help her, Daddy? Ethan leaned back, rubbing the bridge of his nose. He'd built his empire from nothing. A foster kid who'd fought tooth and nail to escape poverty. He knew what hunger looked like, what desperation felt like, but he'd also learned to compartmentalize it to focus on what he could control. His daughter, his company, not the endless problems of the world. Lily, we can't help everyone, he said gently. There are people who do that at charities, shelters. They're better at it than we are. But she was right there, Lily insisted, her voice rising. I had my granola bar in my backpack. I could have given it to her. Ethan's chest tightened. Lily's innocence was a stark contrast to his pragmatism. He'd spent years shielding her from the harsh realities he'd known as a child, ensuring she had everything: a private schools, a safe home, a future. But here she was, fixated on a stranger. Sometimes people need more than a granola bar, he said, trying to keep his tone patient. It's complicated. Lily crossed her arms, her small face set in a stubborn frown. It's not complicated. She was hungry. I wanted to help. Ethan opened his mouth to respond, but his phone buzzed, a call from his CFO about a merger. He held up a finger to Lily. 1 second, sweetheart. As he answered, Lily slid off her chair and disappeared into the kitchen. He barely noticed, engrossed in the call. When he hung up, Lily was back, holding a plastic container with her leftover lunch: half a sandwich, an apple, and that granola bar. I'm keeping this for her, she declared. Tomorrow, I'm giving it to her. Ethan stared at her, torn between exasperation and something softer, something he hadn't felt in years. Lily, you can't just I can, she interrupted, her voice fierce for a 6-year-old. You're always busy, Daddy. You don't see her, but I do. Her words hit harder than he expected. He was always busy in meetings, deals, late nights. He prided himself on being a good father, but Lily's accusations stung. She was right. He hadn't really seen the woman, not the way Lily had. Okay, he said finally, his voice low. Tomorrow, we'll figure it out together. Lily's face lit up, and she climbed into his lap, hugging him tightly. Promise, promise, he said, though he wasn't sure what he was agreeing to. As he held her, the weight of his empire felt heavier than ever, but so did the weight of his daughter's heart. The next morning, Ethan woke with a sense of unease. He'd spent the night tossing and turning, Lily's words echoing in his mind. You don't see her, but I do. He wasn't used to being called out, especially not by a 6-year-old. By 7 a.m., he was already in his office, reviewing reports. But his focus kept drifting to the window. The woman was there again, in the same spot, her head bowed against the early autumn chill. He tried to push the image away, but it clung to him like damp clothes. Lily's school drop-off was at 8:30, and she was ready early, clutching her plastic container like a treasure. In the car, she chattered about her plan of how she'd give the woman her sandwich and ask her name. Ethan listened, his hands tight on the steering wheel. He wanted to protect Lily's optimism, but he also knew the world wasn't as simple as she saw it. What if the woman was dangerous, unstable? He'd seen enough in his childhood to know that desperation could twist people in unpredictable ways. At the school, Lily hopped out, then turned back, her eyes serious. Don't forget, Daddy, we're helping her today. I won't forget, he said, forcing a smile. As she ran off, he called his assistant. Find out what shelters or services are near the office. I want options by noon. Back at Caldwell Enterprises, the day was a blur of the meetings, but Ethan's mind kept wandering. He'd built his company on precision, on control, but Lily's insistence was pulling him into unfamiliar territory. By noon, his assistant had compiled a list of local organizations as shelters, food banks, outreach programs. Ethan skimmed it, but the words felt distant, academic. He wasn't used to this. His philanthropy was usually a check written at a gala, not a personal encounter. At 3 p.m., he picked Lily up from school. She climbed into the car, her backpack slung over one shoulder, the plastic container still in her hands. Did you see her, Daddy? Is she still there? She's there, Ethan said, his voice quieter than he intended. But Lily, We need to be careful. We don't know her situation. Lily frowned, her small hands tightening around the container. She's not scary, she's just hungry. Ethan didn't argue. He drove back to the office, parking in the underground garage. As they walked toward the building's entrance, Lily tugged at his hand, pulling him toward the sidewalk where the woman sat. Up close, Ethan could see details he'd missed before. The woman was younger than he'd thought, maybe in her late 20s, with dark hair tangled over a faded jacket. Her hands were chapped, her nails bitten down, and her cardboard sign read simply, "Please help." Lily didn't hesitate. She marched forward, her small frame dwarfed by the towering glass building behind her. "Hi," she said, her voice bright but tentative. "I'm Lily. I brought you some food." The woman looked up, startled, her brown eyes wide. For a moment, she seemed unsure, glancing between Lily and Ethan, who stood a few steps back, his posture tense. "Oh," she said softly, her voice hoarse, "that's a broken bar. Really kind of you." Lily held out the container. "It's my lunch from yesterday. There's a sandwich and an apple and a granola bar. I hope you like it." The woman hesitated, then took the container, her fingers trembling slightly. "Thank you, Lily," she said, her voice breaking. "I'm Sarah." Ethan watched, his chest tight. He'd expected to feel wary, maybe even dismissive, but something about Sarah's quiet gratitude unsettled him. She didn't look dangerous, or just tired, worn down by a world he'd fought to escape. "Do you live here?" Lily asked, sitting cross-legged on the sidewalk. Ethan tensed, ready to pull her back, but Sarah's small smile stopped him. "Not really," Sarah said, clutching the container. "I move around. It's a broken bar, hard to find a place." Lily tilted her head. "Don't you have a house, or daddy to take care of you?" Ethan's throat tightened. He stepped closer, ready to intervene, but Sarah answered gently, "I used to. Things just a broken bar got tough." Lily nodded, as if she understood, though Ethan knew she didn't. Not fully. "My daddy's really busy, but he's nice. Maybe he can help you." Ethan froze. Sarah glanced at him, her expression wary but not expectant. He cleared his throat. "Lily, we should let Sarah eat in peace." "But Daddy," Lily started, then stopped, looking between them. "Can we come back tomorrow, to make sure she's okay?" Sarah's eyes met Ethan's, and for a moment, he saw something, or hope, maybe, or just exhaustion. "You don't have to," she said quietly. "This is already more than enough." Ethan didn't know how to respond. He was used to solving problems with money, with strategy, but this felt different. "We'll see," he said finally, taking Lily's hand. "Come on, kiddo." As they walked back to the car, Lily was quiet, but her small hand squeezed his tightly. Ethan glanced back at Sarah, who was opening the container, her movements careful, almost reverent. He felt a pang he couldn't name. That night, Lily was subdued, picking at her dinner again. Ethan watched her, his mind racing. He'd spent his life building walls around his past, his emotions, his daughter's safety. But Lily's simple act of kindness had cracked something open. He didn't know Sarah's story, but he knew enough about struggle to recognize it in her eyes, and he knew Lily wouldn't let this go. After Lily went to bed, Ethan sat at his desk, the city lights sprawling below. He opened his laptop and started researching his shelters, job programs, housing initiatives. The list his assistant had sent was a start, but it wasn't enough. He made a call to his head of corporate social responsibility, a woman named Clara who'd been pushing for community outreach for years. "Clara," he said when she picked up, "I want to talk about setting up a program, something local, food, housing, job training, whatever people need to get back on their feet." Clara sounded surprised but eager. "That's a broken bar." "Unexpected, Mr. Caldwell." "Any particular reason for the shift?" He hesitated, thinking of Lily's determined face, of Sarah's trembling hands. "Let's just say I'm starting to see things differently." Over the next week, Ethan threw himself into the project with the same intensity he brought to mergers and acquisitions. He met with Clara daily, sketching out a plan for a community hub near the office, a place where people like Sarah could get meals, job training, even temporary housing. He didn't tell Lily the details, not yet, but she noticed his late nights, his distracted focus. "Are you helping Sarah?" she asked one evening, curled up on the couch with her stuffed rabbit. "I'm trying," Ethan said, ruffling her hair. "It's not as simple as a granola bar, but we're working on it." Lily beamed. "I knew you'd do it, Daddy." Her faith in him was humbling. He wasn't sure he deserved it, but he was determined to try. The following day, he and Lily returned to the sidewalk with another container of food. Sarah was there, looking slightly less weary, though still guarded. Lily chatted with her, asking about her favorite colors, if she liked dogs. Ethan stood back, listening, his mind turning over possibilities. "Sarah," he said finally, "we're working on something, a place where you could get help, food, maybe a job. Would you be interested?" Sarah looked at him, her expression unreadable. "Why are you doing this?" she asked, her voice low. "You don't know me." Ethan glanced at Lily, who was drawing a picture in the dirt with a stick. "Because someone reminded me what it means to see people." Sarah didn't say yes, but she didn't say no either. She took the food, thanked Lily, and promised to think about it. As Ethan and Lily walked away, he felt a shift inside him. For years, he measured success in dollars, in deals closed, in buildings bearing his name. But now, watching his daughter skip beside him, her heart so big it scared him, he realized success might look different. It might look like a sandwich shared, a hand extended, a promise kept. By the end of the month, the community hub was taking shape. Ethan had diverted company resources, fast-tracked permits, and even convinced a few board members to back the project. It wasn't just about Sarah, it was about the countless others like her, people he'd stopped noticing years ago. He didn't see Sarah again after that week, but Lily never stopped asking about her, and Ethan never stopped looking. One evening, as he tucked Lily into bed, she hugged him tightly. "I'm proud of you, Daddy," she whispered. Ethan's throat tightened. "I'm proud of you, kiddo," he said. "You're the one who started this. I notice you requested a story with 2 short parts and an expanded part 3 of 2,000 words, but the title you provided matches the one from your previous request, where I already wrote a story with 2 parts. Since you've asked for a new story with the same title but with a structure that includes a part 3, I'll assume you want a fresh story with 2 short parts followed by an expanded third part of approximately 2,000 words, adhering to the given title and structure. If you meant to modify the previous story or have specific changes, please clarify, and I can adjust accordingly. Below is a new, compelling story based on your request." The elevator hummed as it climbed to the 47th floor of Pinnacle Towers, the nerve center of Grayson Industries. Nathan Grayson, the 40-year-old CEO, sat at the head of the polished mahogany table in the boardroom, his dark eyes scanning a spreadsheet projected on the screen. His team was mid-presentation, pitching a risky acquisition that could cement his legacy or tank it. His phone vibrated, a text from his nanny. "Mila's here. She insisted on seeing you." Nathan's jaw tightened. He loved his daughter, but her timing was impeccable. As always, before he could respond, the boardroom door burst open, and Mila, his 7-year-old, skipped in, her purple backpack slung over one shoulder. Her curly brown hair bounced, and her hazel eyes sparkled with mischief. The executives fell silent, their PowerPoint forgotten. "Daddy," Mila called, undeterred by the room's formality. She held up a crumpled paper bag. "I brought cookies from school. Mrs. Larson helped us bake them." Nathan's stern expression softened, though he kept his voice firm. "Mila, I'm in a meeting." "You know you're supposed to wait with Nanny Ellen." Mila pouted, then brightened, pointing out the massive window overlooking the city street below. "Daddy, there's a lady down there. She looks hungry. Can I share my cookies with her?" Nathan followed her gaze. On the sidewalk, a woman sat against a lamppost, her coat threadbare, her hands clasped around a tattered bag. Passers-by stepped around her, their eyes averted. Nathan frowned. He'd seen her before. Same spot, same defeated posture. The city was full of people like her, and he'd learned long ago to keep his distance. "She'll be fine, Mila," he said, guiding her toward the door. "Let's get you back to Ellen." "But Daddy," Mila protested, planting her feet, "she looks really hungry." "I have extra cookies." The executives shifted uncomfortably. Nathan sighed, his patience thinning. "We'll talk later, okay? Go with Ellen." Mila's shoulders slumped, but she nodded, clutching her paper bag as she left. Nathan returned to the table, ignoring the curious glances. "Continue," he said, His tone clipped. But as the presentation resumed, Mila's words lingered, a small crack in his carefully constructed focus. That evening, Nathan and Mila sat in their penthouse's sleek dining room, the city's neon glow filtering through the windows. Mila poked at her pasta, unusually quiet. Nathan, still in his suit jacket, noticed her mood. "What's up, kiddo? Not hungry?" Mila looked up, her hazel eyes serious. "The lady was still there when we left your office. Why didn't we give her my cookies?" Nathan set down his fork. He'd grown up in a rough neighborhood, scraping by until sheer will and a scholarship pulled him out. He'd built Grayson Industries to ensure Mila never knew that life, but her question stirred memories he'd bury nights with an empty stomach, days avoiding pitying stares. "It's not that simple, Mila," he said. "Some people need more than cookies. There are places as shelters that help them." But she was right there, Mila said, her voice trembling. "I could have helped her." Nathan rubbed his temples. He was used to solving problems with contracts and cash, not a child's earnestness. "We can't fix everything, sweetheart. Let's eat, okay?" Mila crossed her arms. "I'm saving my cookies for her. Tomorrow, I'm giving them to her." Before Nathan could argue, his phone rang. A client emergency. He answered, distracted, as Mila slipped off her chair and headed to the kitchen. When he hung up, she was back, her paper bag of cookies on the table. "I'm serious, Daddy. We have to help her." Nathan looked at her, his heart softening. Mila's determination was like his own, but untainted by cynicism. "Okay," he said finally. "Tomorrow, we'll see what we can do together." Mila grinned, hugging him. "Promise?" "Promise," Nathan said, though doubt gnawed at him. As he tucked her into bed later, he couldn't shake the image of the woman on the sidewalk or Mila's unwavering belief that a few cookies could make a difference. The next morning, Nathan woke with the knot in his stomach. He'd built his empire on calculated risks, but Mila's request felt like uncharted territory. He glanced out his bedroom window, half expecting to see the woman still sitting below, though Pinnacle Towers was miles away. By 7 a.m., he was in his office, skimming emails, but his mind kept drifting to Mila's plea. He called his assistant, Rachel. "Look into local outreach programs of food banks, shelters, anything near the office. I need details by noon." Rachel sounded surprised but didn't question him. "On it, Mr. Grayson." Mila was ready for school early, her paper bag of cookies clutched tightly. In the car, she chattered about the woman, how she'd give her the cookies and maybe draw her a picture. Nathan listened, his hands gripping the wheel. He wanted to protect Mila's innocence, but he also knew the world's harsh edges. What if the woman was unwell, addicted? He'd seen enough in his youth to know not everyone could be helped or trusted. At school, Mila hopped out, then turned back. "Don't forget, Daddy, we're helping her today." "I won't," Nathan said, managing a smile. As she ran off, he felt a pang. Mila's heart was bigger than his, and it both scared and humbled him. Back at the office, Rachel delivered a folder with information on local shelters and food programs. Nathan flipped through it, but the pages felt impersonal, detached from Mila's simple mission. He was used to delegating charity or writing checks for causes he barely understood. This was different. Mila wasn't asking for a donation, she was asking him to act. By 3 p.m., he picked Mila up from school. She climbed into the car, her cookies still in hand, her face set with purpose. "Is she still there, Daddy?" Nathan nodded. "I saw her this morning. Same spot." Mila beamed. "Then let's go." They drove to Pinnacle Towers, parking across the street. As they approached the sidewalk, Nathan's instincts screamed caution, but Mila was already moving, her small frame fearless. The woman was there, her coat more tattered up close, her dark hair falling over her face. She looked up as Mila approached, her eyes wary but soft. "Hi," Mila said, holding out the paper bag. "I'm Mila. I brought you some cookies. I made them at school." The woman blinked, her hands hesitating before taking the bag. "Thank you," she said, her voice rough but gentle. "I'm Claire." Nathan stood a few steps back, his arms crossed, watching closely. Claire was younger than he'd thought, maybe early 30s, with a quiet dignity despite her worn appearance. Mila sat cross-legged on the sidewalk, unfazed by the dirt. Do you like cookies? These have chocolate chips. Claire smiled faintly. I do. That's really sweet of you, Mila. Mila glanced at Nathan, her eyes urging him forward. He cleared his throat, stepping closer. Claire, I'm Nathan, Mila's dad. We broke in bar saw you yesterday. Mila wanted to help. Claire's gaze flickered to him, guarded but not hostile. You didn't have to. Most people don't. Nathan shifted, uncomfortable. He was used to boardroom negotiations, not this. Is there anything else you need? There are shelters nearby. Programs. I know about them. Claire cut in, her voice firm but not unkind. They're crowded. Sometimes it's easier out here. Mila tilted her head. Don't you have a house, or a family? Nathan tensed, ready to steer the conversation, but Claire answered softly. I did. Once. Things got a broken bar complicated. Mila nodded, as if she understood, though Nathan knew she didn't not fully. My daddy can help, she said confidently. He's really good at fixing things. Nathan's chest tightened. Claire looked at him, her expression unreadable. You don't owe me anything, she said. This is enough. She held up the bag of cookies, her fingers trembling slightly. We'll come back tomorrow, Mila declared, standing up. Right, Daddy? Nathan hesitated. We'll see, he said, taking Mila's hand. As they walked back to the car, he glanced over his shoulder. Clara was opening the bag, her movements careful, almost reverent. Something stirred in him, a guilt, maybe, or something deeper. That night, Mila was quieter than usual, drawing a picture of a woman with dark hair and a cookie. Nathan watched her, his mind racing. He'd spent years building walls around his past, his emotions, his daughter's safety. But Mila's small act of kindness had cracked those walls. Claire's face, her quiet gratitude, reminded him of people he'd known growing up, people he'd stopped seeing once he'd made it out. After Mila went to bed, Nathan sat at his desk, the city sprawling below. He opened the folder Rachel had given him, but it wasn't enough. He needed to do more, and not just for Claire, but for Mila, who saw the world with the clarity he'd lost. He called Rachel. Set up a meeting with the head of our foundation. I want to talk about the new initiative via something local, hands-on, food, jobs, housing, whatever people need to get back on their feet. Rachel paused. This is new, Mr. Grayson. Any inspiration behind it? Nathan thought of Mila's determined face, Clara's trembling hands. Let's just say I'm rethinking priorities. Over the next week, Nathan dove into the project with the same intensity he brought to his deals. He met with his foundation's director, Lisa, sketching out a plan for a community center near Pinnacle Towers. It would offer meals, job training, and transitional housing, a place where people like Claire could find a foothold. He didn't tell Mila everything, but she noticed his late nights, his distracted focus. Are you helping Claire? She asked one evening, curled up with her sketchbook. I'm trying, Nathan said, ruffling her hair. It's a big job, but we're starting. Mila grinned. I knew you'd do it, Daddy. Her faith in him was both a comfort and a challenge. He wasn't sure he could live up to it, but he was determined to try. The next day, he and Mila returned to the sidewalk with more food, a sandwich, fruit, and another batch of cookies Mila had insisted on baking. Claire was there, looking slightly less worn, though still cautious. Mila chatted with her, asking about her favorite animals, if she'd ever been to the zoo. Nathan listened, his mind turning over possibilities. Claire, he said finally, we're working on a place nearby, food, job help, maybe somewhere to stay. Would you be interested? Claire studied him, her eyes searching. Why are you doing this? You don't even know me. Nathan glanced at Mila, who was drawing a cat in the dirt. Because someone reminded me what it means to care. Claire didn't commit, but she took the food and thanked Mila with a small smile. As Nathan and Mila walked away, he felt a shift. For years, success had meant power, wealth, control. But now, watching Mila skip beside him, her heart so open it scared him, he saw something else. Success could be a bag of cookies, a conversation, a chance to make a difference. By the end of the month, the community center was taking shape. Nathan had redirected funds, secured partnerships, and even convinced skeptical board members to back the project. It wasn't just about Claire, it was about the countless others he'd ignored for too long. He didn't see Claire again after that week, but Mila kept asking about her. and Nathan kept looking. One night, as he tucked Mila into bed, she hugged him tightly. "I'm proud of you, Daddy," she whispered. Nathan's throat tightened. "I'm proud of you, kiddo," he said. "You're the one who showed me how."